Yes, beta. Good morning to all of you. As you know that we have already started the chapter, the last lesson yesterday. Any problem if you anyone has, you can ask so that I can continue with the next part. Any doubt in your mind regarding that part which we started, or I'll link it with the sum up once again. You can raise your hand and unmute yourself if you have any problem. Otherwise, keep yourself mute. No problem? I think no one raising hand. Okay, let me sum up. Yes, anyone? Anyone having any doubt? No. Okay, let me sum up the part that we read yesterday, that this chapter, the last lesson, refers to the last lesson of the French language. And I told you yesterday to come with the idea of importance of the mother tongue. If anyone wants to share your views about the importance of mother tongue, if you are curtailed or this right is taken from you that you will not be taught or you will not be able to use your mother tongue and you are compelled to use some other language, then what would happen? Any problem at that time you will face, or any feelings or the ideas you want to share accordingly? Muskan Sudhir. Muskan Sudhir, please beta unmute yourself. Share your idea for the importance of the mother tongue. Muskan Sudhir. Please unmute yourself, beta. Sangeeta ma'am, please give the option if they are muted. You're not able to? Muskan? Sanyam? Sanyam 69, roll number.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Do you want to share your views about the importance of your mother
Views
tongue?
of yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Views
Please.
of a person can only be properly understood if he is expressing it in his mother tongue. His emotions, whether anger or happiness, can are only understandable if he is expressing in his mother tongue.
Okay.
And person loses his confidence if he is not speaking in his mother tongue.
Yes. Gurveer, anything you want to add? Gurveer, anything you want to add? Please, beta, unmute yourself.
Mother tongue gives us the confidence to share our views in a more comfortable way.
Yes.
And if a person is not allowed to speak in mother tongue, he or she feels very uncomfortable sometimes. And
yes, think of the situation or imagine the situation that if you are curtailed to use your mother tongue, then how would you like to keep your mother tongue active, or you will have link with your mother tongue? How would you imagine that situation if you are not allowed to, as the situation has come in the according to the story? Yes, Muskan, are you able to, beta? Unmute yourself. No, you're not able to. Okay, let's read the story, and at the end you will be able to understand what idea is given by the writer here. As I have told you that the story is set with the background when the war was going on. Franco-Prussian War in the year of 1870 and 71, in which France was defeated by Prussia, led by Bismarck. And at that time, Prussia was the group of Germany, Poland, and parts of Austria. And the parts of the districts of France, French districts of Alsace and Lorraine, they passed into the hands of the Prussian soldiers. And at that time, what type of feelings the people have when they were not allowed to read and learn their own language, and they were compelled to read German language. And we are given this in the way of a very interesting story. And just to sum up the part which we read, there was a boy named Franz who was going to school, and he was late that morning, having fear in his mind because the teacher has given the lesson on participles and he did not revise that. So he had feeling of fear. And for a moment, the idea came in his mind that he should not go to school and spend his day outdoors, because many things were there which were attracting him. He was tempted by these things. The day was very warm and bright, pleasant day was there, birds were chirping, the soldiers were drilling at the back of the sawmill in the open field. But somehow he resisted this temptation and hurried towards the school. Because he was late on the way, when he noticed that there was a crowd near the bulletin board on which they were having many news since the last 2 years about the lost battles, about the new orders of the commanding officers, all type of informations were shared with the people through that bulletin board. And he saw that there was a lot of crowd, but he did not stop there. Just he thought that what could be the new matter, why the people had gathered there. Even he was warned by the blacksmith watcher that he was in time, he would reach school in time, no need to hurry, but he did not listen. He thought that he was just making fun of him, and hurriedly running, he reached to the garden of the school where the teacher M. Hamel was there. Then we are told about the atmosphere of the school. We were going to read this passage only. So look at your book if you have, otherwise you can see on the screen. I'm sharing the pages of your book with you. And let's start reading of this part now. Usually when school began, there was a great bustle which could be heard out in the street. The opening and the closing of the desk, lessons repeated in unison, very loud, with our hands over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. It's the atmosphere of the school given in the beginning. When the school starts early in the morning, what type of atmosphere is there? Most of the time there is great hustle and bustle, and the voice could be listened in the streets also. Opening and closing of the desk, small children, they are repeating their lessons in unison, means collectively together they were repeating in the drill form very loudly. And the students or the people, they have to keep their hands on their ears to understand better. मतलब इतना शोर होता कि उनको सुनाई भी नहीं देता था कुछ भी, इसलिए उनको अपने कानों के ऊपर हाथ रखने पड़ते अच्छे से सुनने के लिए. And the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table, and they have heard many times the teacher rapping on the table कि टेबल के ऊपर अपने रूलर के साथ वो आवाज कर रहा होता, so that the noise should be controlled. But now it was all so still. See the sign of exclamation. When he reached school, he noticed that there was totally silence. Stillness was there. He was very much surprised to see all this. That's why the sign of exclamation is given. I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen. And what was his feeling? He had this commotion, means this feeling in his mind that he would slip into the class without being seen. Imagine the situation when you come late and you have to enter the class, your class has already started, and think of the situation that you have your accounts class, Jeevan sir is in the class. Will you be able to enter in the class? Because you people have not attended the physical classes. You cannot, many students who are new, they cannot express their feelings, but it happens up to 10th standard when you might be feeling you're scared of any teacher and the teacher is in the class and you are coming late. What type of feelings you have at that time? he was also having that feeling, and he thought that there will be so much crowd and rush and hustle and bustle, noise will be there, क्योंकि अभी start ही हो रहा था school, and he would enter into the class during that commotion, शोर शराबे के बीच में वो चुपचाप बिना किसी को दिखाई दिए एंटर कर जाएगा. He was thinking like that. But of course, that day, everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Please note down, underline this phrase, quiet, Q-U-I-E-T. That means silence, total silence. लेकिन हुआ क्या कि जब वो वहाँ पहुँचता है, due to all this problem, everything was quiet. There was complete silence as if it was a Sunday morning, because Sunday school closed होते हैं तो बिल्कुल शांति होती है. So he felt like that as if it was Sunday morning. Through the window, I saw my classmates, and he tried to peep through the window, देखने की कोशिश करता है क्लास के अंदर, and he noticed that the students were there, his classmates, already in their places. पहले ही वो अपनी सीट्स ले चुके थे. And M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. और क्या नोट करता है कि उसका जो टीचर है M. Hamel, वो अपना रूलर, आयरन रूलर, जो कि एक उनको टेरर की फीलिंग देता था. So that's why it is called terrible iron ruler, because he was afraid of his teacher. और वो एक टेरर की फॉर्म में जो आयरन रूलर लेकर इधर उधर घूमता था, आज उसने अपने आर्म के नीचे रखा हुआ था. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. कि जो उसकी सोच थी कि वो कमोशन के अंदर या उस शोर शराबे के अंदर चुपचाप एंटर कर जाएगा, he could not do that because there was total silence, and he had to open the door and enter into the class in front of everyone. So everyone was looking at him because he was late. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was. Underline this statement. This can give your imagination also with this statement. कि आप imagine कर सकते हो कि उस time पे वो friends पूछ रहा है कि how I blushed and how frightened I was, कि मैं अपने आप में कितना hesitant और शर्मिंदगी महसूस कर रहा था. And I was feeling very much frightened because he was late, and now he had to enter in front of all in the class, and he was afraid of the teacher, कि वही teacher जिससे उसको डर लग रहा था कि उसको वो rebuke करेगा या उसको डांटेगा लेट आने के लिए. He was there in the class, but to his surprise, what happened? Nothing happened. बड़ा हैरान हुआ ये सोचकर कि जब वो एंटर किया तो कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. What he thought and what he expected. M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, go to your place quickly, little Franz. Note down the name. This is for the first time his name is taken in the chapter. Earlier he is narrating the story and I is used. Autobiographical mode में वो story narrate कर रहा है अपने बारे में सारा कुछ using I. So now the teacher did not say anything, and he very kindly told him that he should go quickly to his place, and he addressed him with his name, little Franz. We were beginning without you. He says you were not present and we were going to start with the lesson. So quickly go to your seat. I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. Now he was very much surprised because he was expecting the scolding from the teacher because he was late. But the teacher did not say anything. Rather, he was very kind and polite to him, and he quickly went towards his bench, took his seat. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat. अभी कहता मैं अपने उसके डर की फीलिंग को कंट्रोल कर ही नहीं पाया था, मतलब अभी बहुत थोड़ा मेरे अपने आप को कंट्रोल कर फीलिंग को हुआ था कि मैंने एकदम से और नई चीजें देखी. क्या उसको नजर आ रहा है? दैट द टीचर वाज वेयरिंग ब्यूटीफुल ग्रीन कोट, हिज फ्रिल्ड शर्ट एंड द लिटिल ब्लैक सिल्क कैप. ड्रेसअप ऑफ द टीचर वाज डिफरेंट ऑन दैट डे. क्या नोट कर रहा है कि उसने ग्रीन कोट पहना हुआ है और फ्रिल्ड शर्ट पहनी हुई है, ब्लैक उसकी लिटिल सिल्क कैप पहनी हुई है, दैट इज ऑल एम्ब्रॉयडर्ड, उसके ऊपर कढ़ाई करी हुई है, दैट ही नेवर वोर एक्सेप्ट ऑन इंस्पेक्शन एंड प्राइज डेज, जो कि उसने कभी कम ही पहनता था. कब पहनता था वो? स्पेशली ऑन द इंस्पेक्शन डेज और ऑन द प्राइज डेज, स्पेशल डेज पर वो ड्रेस वो ऐसी पहनता था जो कि उसने आज पहनी हुई थी. सो फ्रेंड्स वाज वेरी मच सरप्राइज्ड. फर्स्ट थिंग दैट सरप्राइज्ड हिम, देयर वाज टोटल स्टिलनेस in the school. It was just like the Sunday morning. Then teacher did not scold him. He just talked to him kindly and told him to take his seat. Then the third thing which he noticed, that the teacher was in special dress which he used to wear on the inspection or the prize days. Then besides, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. Solemn मतलब बिल्कुल पवित्र जगह, जैसे प्योर शांति वाली पीस, जैसे हम कहीं मंदिर में जाते हैं, किसी रिलीजियस प्लेस पर जाते हैं, तो we feel that calmness. But the thing that surprised me most, underline, which thing surprised him most, कि सबसे ज़्यादा उसको हैरानी क्या हुई, was to see on the back benches that were always empty, the village people sitting quietly like ourselves. उसने क्या नोट किया कि जो back benches थे, which were usually empty, खाली होते थे, no one used to sit there. And what he noticed on that day, that the village people were sitting quietly like ourselves. Ourselves means like the students, कि जैसे students बैठे थे क्लास में, ऐसे ही वो village के लोग जो थे वहां पर सारे चुपचाप बैठे थे. और उनमें कौन थे? Old Hauser with his 3-cornered hat. बुजुर्ग हॉसर नाम का आदमी बैठा हुआ था जिसने 3-corner hat पहनी हुई थी. The former mayor, उनके एरिया का मेयर जो कि पुराना मेयर था, फॉर्मर, द फॉर्मर पोस्टमास्टर, एंड सेवरल अदर्स बिसाइड्स, और बहुत से और बड़े लोग, एल्डर्स जो थे उनके विलेज के, दे वर सिटिंग एट द बैक सीट्स. एंड ही वाज वेरी मच सरप्राइज्ड कि व्हाई दे वर सिटिंग इन द क्लास ऑन दैट डे. Everybody looked sad, and Hauser had brought an old primer thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees with his great spectacles lying across the pages. And what he noticed, that they all were looking very sad. And then he saw that old Hauser was having an old primer. प्राइमर क्या होता है? द बिगिनर बुक, जो बिगिनर में जैसे आप स्कूल स्टार्ट करता है बच्चा आना, तो उसको प्राइमर दिया जाता है जिसमें अल्फाबेट्स और काउंटिंग वगैरह बच्चा सीखता है. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज प्राइमर, जो बिगिनर होती हैं बुक्स. तो ऐसी एक बहुत पुरानी सी प्राइमर उसके हाथ में पकड़ी हुई है. थम्ड एट द एजेस, जिसके एजेस मीन्स उस बुक के किनारे, कॉर्नर्स जो हैं पेजेस के, वो मुड़े हुए हैं क्योंकि बहुत पुरानी बुक थी. एंड ही हेल्ड इट ओपन ऑन हिज नीज with his great spectacles lying across the pages. और उसने अपनी बड़ी बड़ी spectacles लगाई हुई हैं और knees के ऊपर उस book को रखकर he was just looking at the pages of that book. That means he was trying to read. What does it show? That all these village people, they were not educated one, and he had brought the beginner's book primer just to learn his language. Now when they were not allowed, and it was the last lesson, so they also wanted to learn their mother tongue, their own language. While I was wondering about it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair, since I was very much surprised to see all this thing, why it was like this, kyun aisa hai, why these village people were sitting, why they were having, this old Hauser was having book primer in his hands. He says, I was very much surprised and thinking what is going to happen, why they were here. And suddenly he noticed that the teacher came near his seat, his chair, and in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, he noted the change in the tone of the teacher also, because on that day the teacher was very sad. Grave means in a very sad mood, in a very gentle tone he started speaking, and earlier he had spoken to him in a very kind manner, very softly when he told him to take the seat. So he noted that there was a change in the tone of the teacher also, and he said, my children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson, and I want you to be very attentive. Please note down the speech given in the inverted commas. It's given in the direct form, what he said to the students, from where France came to know about the situation. That this was the news on the bulletin board. What was the news when the teacher told that this is the last lesson? And why it is the last lesson? Because the order has come. Please underline this line. What was the news on the bulletin board? This was the news which the teacher told in the class, and this boy Franz came to know from the teacher that the order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, which were the districts of France. कि फ्रांस की इन 2 districts में क्या compel कर दिया गया बर्लिन के order के accordingly कि only German language will be taught in the schools. The new master comes tomorrow, so the new teacher will come tomorrow who will teach German only. This is your last French lesson and I want you to be attentive. तो टीचर क्या चाहता है कि आज आप attentive होकर अपना lesson सुनो because this is the last lesson in the French language. What a thunderclap these words were to me. See again sign of exclamation given because he was stunned. एकदम से जिसको कहते हैं ना हक्का बक्का सा रह जाना. थंडर क्लैप जैसे तूफान बादल गरजते के साथ बिजली गिर गई हो उसके ऊपर ऐसा उसको महसूस हुआ. टीचर के वर्ड्स जो थे they were just like a thunder clap for him. Oh, the wretches, that was what they had put up at the town hall. Again he started thinking with surprise and he understood that this was the news on the bulletin board. That's why the people had gathered there to read this news that was there on the bulletin board, and he addressed those people as wretches. बुरे लोग थे, wicked थे, those who were doing all this. My last French lesson, now see his feelings, what he felt now. We have seen in the beginning what were his feelings about the school. He did not want to come to school because he had not learned his lesson. He was not serious about his lessons. So he had a little bit of disinterest for the class and wanted to skip, wanted to go outside somewhere. But suddenly, after listening this news that French language will be taught only for the last day today and tomorrow onward they had to learn German language, his reaction and his feelings change. What he felt now, he says, my last French lesson? Why? I hardly knew how to write. अपने आप में वो रियलाइज कर रहा है कहता मुझे तो अभी पता ही नहीं कि लिखना कैसे है, ये लैंग्वेज लिखी कैसे जाती है. आई शुड नेवर लर्न एनी मोर. और अब ऐसा हो जाएगा कि मेरे को ये लैंग्वेज सीखने को ही नहीं मिलेगी. आई मस्ट स्टॉप देयर देन. ओह हाउ सॉरी आई वाज फॉर नॉट लर्निंग माय लेसन्स, फॉर सीकिंग बर्ड्स एग्स और गोइंग स्लाइडिंग ऑन द सार. सो ही वाज वेरी मच रिपेंटिंग फॉर हिज एक्शंस and he felt sorry that he was not learning his lessons. कि महसूस कर रहा है कि उसने गलत किया, वो अपने lessons learn नहीं कर रहा था, and he was not attentive in the class. For seeking birds, वो क्या करता था? He went out to look at the birds' eggs, and then he went on the sliding swings, etc. on the SAR. मतलब बाहर घूमने चला जाता था. He was not interested in his chapters, so he was not revising and learning his lessons. My books. See the reaction about the books कि वही किताबें जो उसको अच्छी नहीं लगती थी, that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago. थोड़ी देर पहले वो उनको एक nuisance लग रही थी, troublesome feel हो रही थी वो books उनको because he did not want to read, did not want to learn anything. So heavy to carry, इतनी उसको heavy लगती थी उठानी. My grammar and my history of the saints were old friends now that I could not give up. All those books, grammar and the history book and other books which he felt as nuisance and were very heavy for him because he was not interested in reading those books and learning anything, they all were just like his old friends. He felt that attachment with those books now. He felt that they were his old friends, and now that I could not give up, he could not leave those books. He felt like that. Suddenly his feelings changed for his books and he realized about the importance of this language which he had not yet learned to write even properly. उसको अच्छे से अभी लिखना भी नहीं आता था अपनी फ्रेंच लैंग्वेज में, और अब उससे ये छीन ली गई. ये कहा जा रहा है कि वो लैंग्वेज पढ़ाई नहीं जाएगी, और वही बुक्स जो उसको अच्छी नहीं लगती थी, न्यूसेंस थी उनके लिए, उसको हैवी लगती थी ग्रामर और हिस्ट्री के बुक्स, अब क्या लग रहा है उसको कि दीज बुक्स आर जस्ट लाइक हिज ओल्ड फ्रेंड्स. एंड he did not want to leave those books. And M. Hamel, and what about the teacher? Earlier he had different ideas about the teacher. Thinking about the teacher was different because we got the idea in the very beginning when he said terrible iron ruler. टीचर के लिए टेरर फील करता था वो, उसके हाथ में रूलर को देखकर डरता था उससे. Now what he felt about M. Hamel too, the idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. He suddenly realized that the teacher will be not there tomorrow to teach them. He same teacher nahi hoga, some new teacher will come to teach them German language only. and he would not be able to see his teacher again. That made him forget all about the feelings which he had for that teacher. उसी teacher के बारे में जिसको वो cranky कहता था, eccentric कहता था, terror कहता था उसके ruler के बारे में. Now, totally there was change in his ideas about that teacher. Poor man. It was in the honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes. And now I understood why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. Now he understood. He realized the situation and he understood why the teacher was in that dress, why he was wearing that special dress, why all those villagers were sitting at the back benches. It was, please underline these next lines, which will tell us the answer ki why those villagers were there. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. पहली बात कि they had not gone to school, वो कभी school नहीं गए थे. They were feeling sorry for that. They were not educated. It was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful service and of showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. And another reason was that they all were there to thank the master, M. Hamel, who was there for the last 40 years, and he was giving his faithful service to the nation, to the school, to the village people, to the children of that village. And they all were there to show their respect for the country that was theirs no more, because now they were overpowered by these Prussians, and they felt that the country was not there, their language was not there, they were going to lose their language. So they wanted to pay respect to their country. That was not their own now, अपना नहीं था उनको, लेकिन वो अपने country के लिए एक respect show करना चाहते थे. And they were very much thankful, grateful to the teacher for his 40 years faithful service. So they wanted to show their gratitude for the teacher. So note down all these reasons why these villagers were there in the class and why they were sitting there. Because first thing, they were very sorry that they had not gone to school because they were uneducated. They want to know about their language. And the second thing, they wanted to thank the teacher for his faithful service of 40 years. And the third reason is they wanted to show their respect for their country, which they were going to lose. While I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called, and suddenly he was lost in his thoughts. He heard his name being addressed by the teacher. It was my turn to recite. What would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for the participle all through very loud and clear and without one mistake? His turn was to recite the rules of participles, but he had fear in his mind that he would not be able to recite those rules in a very loud, clear manner or in a good way, because he had not revised those. So he would not be able to recite those. He had that fear in his mind. But what happened? He thought that he would explain something about that without any mistake when he would stand, because his name was called. But I got mixed up on the first words and stood there holding on to my desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up. But he was not confident because he had not revised. So when he stood up to give the answer, he started mixing up the things and he could not tell anything to the teacher about the rules of the participle. So he was standing there holding to his desk and his heart was beating and was not having the dare, and he was not having the courage to look up towards the teacher and answer those questions or the rules of the participles. I heard M. Hamel say to me, and the teacher was again not scolding, was not angry. He was still very polite and kind. And he said, I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. कहता मैं आपको scold तो नहीं करूँगा, but you must feel bad. आपको अपने आप में समझ आनी चाहिए कि आप किस situation में हो. See how it is. That means at what position you are. You are not able to explain the rules. Every day we have said to ourselves, Bah, I have plenty of time. I will learn it tomorrow. See, now another idea that is conveyed by the author in this chapter that is coming forward to you. जब टीचर ये कह रहा है कि हम रोज अपने आप को यही कहते हैं कि बहुत टाइम है मेरे पास, कोई बात नहीं, मैं इस चीज को कल कर लूंगा, आज नहीं कर सका काम तो कल कर लूंगा. And now you see where we have come out. और अब आप कहता रियलाइज करो कि अब हम इस सिचुएशन में पहुंचे हैं क्योंकि कल हमारे पास टाइम ही नहीं है. वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू हैव एनी फ्रेंच लैंग्वेज, तो आप कल कहाँ से लर्न कर लोगे. सो we keep on delaying the things. Oh, that's the great trouble with Elsac. She puts off learning till tomorrow. कहता है ये सिर्फ आप ही नहीं, सारे लोग ऐसे करते हैं Elsac के, मतलब in general all people have the same trouble, same problem. They keep on delaying the things. And now those fellows out there will have the right to say to you, कहते हैं अब वो लोग आपसे कहेंगे, how is it you pretend to be Frenchman and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? कि आप अपने आप को कहते हो कि आप फ्रेंच के लोग हो, but you are neither able to speak nor you are able to write your own language, but you are the worst, poor little French. We have all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. And he just told Franz that you are not in a good position. Please underline the last line. We will explain it tomorrow because it will take more time. We have all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. Please underline this line. I will give you the explanation of this line tomorrow. But now the teacher has made the boy realize that he was not doing his work properly, and now he is repenting for that. Because now there is no time. We keep on delaying the things, saying that we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it afterwards, we have a lot of time. This is a general phenomena that we keep on delaying the things, we keep on postponing the things. And sometimes it happens, as the situation has occurred now in France, that they did not have time next day to do any work because they are not able to have the lessons in the French language. So in this way, they were helpless. The teacher made them realize about this. Okay, Beta, now I'm giving you time. If you have any problem, you can ask.